Hello and welcome to another book haul, and not just books actually, this time a video. Um, I know what you're thinking, probably everything that I'm recording these days is practically a book haul. That is because I am extremely stressed and my stress response is to go buy more books. And is it healthy? Um, well, no, probably not for my bank account, but what can you do? To be fair, this time I didn't just go to Foyles and Waterstones, which are the most expensive bookshops. I did also go to the Works, which, if you're not in the UK, is a really nice store. They do really cheap books, roughly about £5. You can probably find stuff for cheaper as well, but the two that I bought today from there were £5. So we're going to go in chronological order of when I bought them. So I'm going to start off with this book that I got from the Works, A Curse So Dark and Lonely. Now, this has been on my TBR for a very long time. I very nearly read this back in like 2020, 2021. I remember that I think I still am part of it, but I used to be really active on Goodreads. I am less active on it now because I kind of felt like I was reading, I wasn't like enjoying my reading as much because I felt like I had to constantly log it and like broadcast it on Goodreads. It was really fun though I am still on it, but it's just like if I were to go on it now and make an update now, like nobody would respond. Whereas I had like a lot of online friends on Goodreads around lockdown around 2020, 2021, who would respond to my updates. And it was a really fun time, but I kind of just gradually stopped using it over time, which I sometimes feel bad about. Maybe I'll try and like do a little bit of a resurgence of it. But I remember one of my book clubs on Goodreads was going to read this, and so I very nearly started reading it. This was also around the time back in 2020, 2021. I also read, I would say probably more ebooks than physical books. I've always preferred physical books. I just like the weight of it in my hand. I like the smell of it. I just obviously prefer physical books, but I didn't have a problem reading ebooks. However, recently, in the last couple of years, I found that I've really struggled to read a ebook. I don't know what it is. I just can't seem to concentrate. I don't seem to get. I think it's also because like when you're reading a physical book, you can see how far into it you are, and it gives you like you get like satisfaction from reading it. Whereas when you're reading an online book, you don't get to see that progress, and it doesn't hit the same way. I am considering. I think that probably I might give Kindles a go because wasn't using Kindles. I was using Google Play Books on my tablet. To be fair, I feel like if I had a tablet still, my old tablet just died and I never got a new one. Um, the last time I tried to read an ebook, I tried reading it from my phone, but I just didn't like it. So I think maybe one of these days I'll get a tablet again, or I'll get a proper Kindle because what I do like about the Kindle is that it does look like a book. Just the texture of it and just the way that they formatted the pages to look, it does look more like paper than any old tablet like that has a ebook downloaded looks like that. Just looks like a tablet. But anyway, I realize I've not talked about this at all. To be honest, I don't actually know very much about this other than the fact that it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I am always a sucker for fairy tale retellings. So that's pretty much why I bought this, and we'll see how it goes. The other book that I bought from the Works is Divergent because I've actually never owned this. I've never read it. I saw the films when they came out. Um, so yeah, in the same vein as my recent purchase of Uglies, I also recently purchased the first Maze Runner book. I'm just having a look in the book. Yeah, it's right there in the bookcase. Um, I'm kind of just slowly procuring all the main dystopian books because I haven't read them. The only one that I read was The Hunger Games, but I watched a lot of the films when they came out. I watched the Divergent films as they came out. So I'm just kind of catching up with the trend. I haven't heard great things about this though, to be fair. I know it was really popular, but people kind of reviewing it now, I haven't heard great things about it. But I was like we still have to own it. It's like well, not a classic, but it's a staple of like YA dystopia. So that was the two that I got from the works. I then went to Waterstones. I kind of didn't intend to go to Waterstones, but I had to pass by it to because my intention was I was going to go to the other works because there are two works in my town. But on the way to the second works, I passed by Waterstones and it was like I saw the window and it was like all decorated for Christmas, and I'm a sucker. I had to go in. To be fair, the books that I bought from there are kind of like different to the ones that I usually buy. I bought this. I bought what is it called? Map of Bones by Kate Mosey. I partly bought this just because it was signed by the author. I know that sounds really like superficial. Superficial, is that what the word? You know what I mean? But to be fair, Kate Mosey is a very, very well-known author, and I think it's quite rare for her to release like signed copies of her books just out and about. So I was quite excited to see this. I don't really know much about this particular series. I think from what I understand, it follows like a French aristocratic family as they navigate different things across like several centuries. I know it's historical fiction. I know it's set in the 1600s in South Africa, and then also there's a section set in the 1800s of the same family. I'm always a sucker for books that have different like perspectives over different time periods, especially if there's kind of mirrors or layering or something relating the two narratives. I'm a sucker for that kind of thing, and I think that Kate Mosey is probably the one to do it well. I think that most of her books are like that. I've not actually, well, that's kind of a lie. My experience with Kate Mosey, right? I read a short story collection by her. I forgot what it was called, Ghost Stories or something along those lines. Years and years ago, when I was around really young, like 12 or 13, I remember reading it. I remember really struggling to read it, but enjoying it, and remember it left me feeling like I hadn't understood it, and like I was waiting for the penny to drop, if that makes sense. I think I was around 12. I might have even been younger. I might have been 11 when I read it. I bought it at an airport. Well, basically, what happened is I was traveling with my mum, um, and I didn't have anything. I didn't think I had to bring like any books or anything with me. And I asked my mum, "Oh, can we buy something?" And I think she'd gone in to the shop without me. I can't remember because I remember it was my mum who picked it. And she was like, "Oh, here you go." Um, I don't know why she gave me a Kate Mosey short story book. I guess it might have been like and they didn't have like any kids books. I don't know, but yeah, I remember liking it and I liked the vibe, but it didn't really. I remember them being quite like magical realism esque and a lot of like supernatural elements, but not quite. I remember it left me feeling quite unsettled and like I would like to reread that someday again just to see because I felt like I didn't like appreciate it properly. Um, just to see like what my new and sophisticated self thinks. But this was I had a very similar feeling to watching, I think it was a BBC adaptation of her book Labyrinth. I remember watching it as a child when it was on, and again, it left me feeling very like like I hadn't understood it. Like there was something. Like, I was like blown away. I was like, oh my god, like there's something really deep going on here, but I don't know what it is. That's how I felt. That's how I felt like after both her works. So I've always wanted to get into Kate Mosey now that I'm older, more well read, hopefully more intelligent. Um, so I think I'll give them a go. I do own Labyrinth. I got it from a charity shop last Christmas. So I will eventually read her books, but you know, I mean I say this for everything. I've got so many unread books, but what can you do? Oh, and I should say actually, I only bought this because it was a signed copy, and I think it's quite difficult to find signed copies of Kate Mosey's books. But this is the fourth installment of a series. So naturally, oh sorry, side note, I will show you the other two books that I bought from Waterstones, which I bought because they were buy one get one free. No, they were buy one get one half price. Sorry, 1 second because it is a little bit of a way away. Okay, so I was kind of cajoled into buying these because I was looking at this and it's called can't even remember what it's called. Murder at Holly House. And I was reading the blurb, and the cashier who was literally ringing up some woman's books literally bent over like half a meter to talk to me, who was standing like a couple meters away from the cashier, from the thing, reading the blurb of this. And he was like, "This is excellent, you should read it." And I really trust his opinions because I frequent Waterstones quite often and we often chat about books that we like. So, sorry. I was like, if he thinks this is good, maybe I'll buy it. Um, Basically, it's a cozy murder mystery, which I like the idea of, even though I don't actually read very much of it. Um, I do like um, Agatha Christie book adaptations, though. I've not read any of her books, but I do really like her adaptations, so I do like a good cozy mystery. Actually, saying that, I kind of grew up on Poirot and Miss Marple, like the TV series, like the David Suchet TV series. I do also like the Poirot new films with oh god, I've forgotten his name, but you know who I mean, the new films. But I kind of grew up with David Suchet, because I was homeschooled, so I had access to a lot of daytime television, and I remember they always used to play on like ITV and Channel 4 every evening, so I would always watch them, and yeah, I feel like it is a genre that I could stand to get into. So I don't really know much about this other than the fact that they find a dead body stuffed down this chimney. I think that this is kind of like, I think this is a Christmas book, because it's, yeah, Murder at Holly House, and he's been found up the chimney. So I think it's set during Christmas as well. And later on, another person dies in this small village, and I think it's just a cozy kind of murder mystery of that ilk. Now, this is similar, but this is more something that I kind of have wanted to read for a while because I've seen it around for a while. This is How to Solve Your Own Murder, and this is about a fortune teller who foresees her own death years and years and years before. She lives her whole life, I think, in kind of this paranoid state, and she doesn't trust people. She gathers dirt on everyone, which, if you think about it, isn't probably the best way to avoid your own murder, because if you know everybody's secrets, then it makes people more likely to want to murder you. But she does that, and then like she leaves in her will, she basically leaves her money to whoever can solve her murder, because she knows that she's going to be murdered. And her great niece arrives and is going to try and solve the murder, basically. So I just thought the premise of this one was interesting. And then, which I kind of messed up because I knew that this was a series, but I didn't know, I knew what the first book in this series was. I knew it was called The Burning Chambers. So I went in search of that book, and I found it in W.H. Smith's. So this I got from W.H. Smith's, The Burning Chambers. Again, like I said, I think it's a very similar setup to this. It's kind of set in France, Middle Ages, follows an aristocratic family. But I was quite upset to later discover that the third book in this series is called Ghost Ship, and I saw it earlier as one of the buy one get one half price books. So I could have, instead of getting one of these, I could have gotten the Ghost Ship um, instead. But do you know what? I'm actually quite happy with both of these that I bought. So do you know what? I'm actually happy with those decisions. Other things that I bought, I know what you're thinking. Well, basically, I'll tell you this first, and then you can tell me what you're thinking. I bought some DVDs. Now I know what you're thinking. Katie, are you actually a time traveler from 2006? Because this camera quality plus talking about DVDs is not adding up. Well, the thing is that I have had quite a bad opinion about streaming platforms for a while now, and it is just getting worse and worse and worse. I think that they had their place and they were really exciting when they first came out. And for a while, for a few years, it was really good. I remember back when Netflix had pretty much any film under the sun that you wanted to watch. The same with Amazon Prime. And slowly over the years, more and more things on Prime have become you have to buy them. So I think at this point, I think it's literally just Prime originals that come with Prime. Either you've got to subscribe to the channel, to Paramount Plus, or to Hallmark, or to whatever the channel is, or you've got to individually buy or rent the films and TV series that you want to watch, or not all, sorry, that's it for Amazon Prime. And in Netflix, the selection has gotten smaller, smaller, and smaller as things have been lost, like Paramount films being lost to Paramount Plus. Everybody is just launching their own streaming platform, things being lost to BritBox, things being lost to Disney Plus. Before the launch of Disney Plus, I remember that most of the Marvel films were on Netflix. Now none of them are on Netflix. You've got to have your own Disney Plus password account. And for me, the other thing, last thing I'll say, is lots of Netflix and Amazon Prime originals being made that get cancelled after 1 or 2 seasons. So basically, no long running TV series anymore. And look, I know that sometimes they can be a little bit much and a little bit like melodramatic, but I think that's kind of the fun of TV. Like, do you remember how many TV series Teen Wolf had? Like, some of those in the middle were absolute garbage, but we stuck with it, and it was actually a decent TV series overall. That kind of thing just never gets made nowadays. It's just 1 or 2 seasons and then it gets cancelled. I was tremendously upset because I really enjoyed My Lady Jane on Amazon Prime and it got cancelled. And it's just really sad. So much is just getting cancelled. And so the other thing, the kind of final straw for me, was how Netflix has now banned password sharing, and I relied upon my parents' account. And it's basically not allowing me. It's basically forcing me to make my own Netflix account now, and I just think that's absolutely ridiculous. Because it used to be something that they advocated for. It used to be a tagline for them: "Love is sharing your password." And now they've just completely gone back on their word. So I thought to myself, why subscribe to this digital consumerist, like, what's the word, conglomeration of a corporation, when you can just buy DVDs and just own them? And I've ordered a DVD player. It's coming tomorrow because I don't have one currently in my flat. I think we might have like an old one at home, but I don't know when the last time I'm going home will be. Sorry. So now I'm going to show you the DVDs that I bought from a charity shop. So firstly, we have Anna Karenina, because I've never seen this, and obviously based on the Leo Tolstoy novel, which I started reading but I never finished reading. Not because I didn't like it. I think I was just in the first couple of chapters, and I think I just didn't get into it enough to continue reading it. I think I was reading it during a period where I was reading a lot of other books. I do tend to try and only read one book at a time because I don't really have the attention span for more, unless it's like summertime or Easter time, or basically I'm off full time studying. Because if I'm full time studying, I only really have the time and attention for one book at a time. So yeah, I feel like there's no explanation needed for this. I just want to watch it because I never watched it. I don't know what the reception to this was. I feel like it was kind of negative, but I quite like Keira Knightley. I quite like this story. The set and costumes look good, so why not? Now, classic film, lots of classic films. I haven't watched The Matrix. Again, I feel like this doesn't need any explanation. Actually, I will, just in case people don't know anything. So Anna Karenina, basically set during the Russian, like the height of the Russian like aristocracy, and if I can remember correctly, it's basically about this woman Anna Karenina who is in a loveless marriage. And do you know what? I might be completely wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. But basically, she feels like a caged doll. I forget if she's in a loveless marriage or if she's unmarried as of yet, but she basically has this forbidden romance with this guy. I can't remember if she's married and they're having an affair, or if he's just someone that her family doesn't approve of. I honestly can't remember. But something along those lines, and I know there's going to be lots of balls, and I know it's going to be really lavish and beautiful, but at the same time, it's all to kind of cover up this deep seated corruption, and not corruption per se, but just the emptiness of those lives because they didn't have any substance to them, and she feels trapped and like her life is meaningless essentially because she can't do what she actually wants. So that's it for that one. Anna Karenina is her name. Then we have The Matrix, which all I know about this is that they're living in a simulation and they've got to break out of it. And this guy, who I don't know the name of, I'm so sorry, I've seen him in a lot of films, but I can't remember his name. I know that he's the meme, the what if I told you meme, okay? That's all I know. And I know who Keanu Reeves is. That is all I know about this. So I would like to watch it because I've never seen it. And then I've got Emma, the fairly recent one from with Anya Taylor-Joy. I wanted to watch it because I quite like Anya Taylor-Joy. Can't say her name. Anya Taylor-Joy as an actress. Again, another book that I started and haven't finished. Although I was rather enjoying this one. This one from the book, if I remember correctly, this one leans a lot more into comedy, I think, than most Austen books. And I remember it being praised because this particular adaptation being praised because of the costume design and how everything is really bright and colourful and beautiful, and kind of appealing for modern audience without the costumes being historically inaccurate. I remember a lot of people that criticized Bridgerton's costumes would point to Emma as a much more a much better representation of a modernization of Regency era clothing, whereas the costumes in Bridgerton, even though it's meant to be set in the Regency era, were a lot more Victorian in nature, had a lot of corsets. I don't think they wore corsets in the Regency era. So basically, why I wanted to watch it is 99% the costume design because it looks really cool, and also Anya Taylor-Joy. I like her as an actress, and also it's a Jane Austen, it's a film based on a Jane Austen book. So I do know that there is an older adaptation of this as well. I have never I think I might have seen it when I was like really young, like I think it was playing in the background, but I've not really seen it. So yeah, why not? And then we have Predator. I have been kind of getting, I mean, I don't know if this is actually classed as horror, but I am kind of getting into my horror lately. I watched Alien recently, which is kind of why I bought this, because I kind of eventually do want to get into the Alien franchise properly, and I also want to watch Alien versus Predator at some point. Um, so yeah, if you don't know what this is about, I realize I didn't really explain this either. I mean, to be fair, what this is, I kind of just assume that you people will know what these are because they're quite famous films and like based on quite famous books. I think all of these are based on books apart from The Matrix. Wait, I know Predator's not either. So it's literally just this and the other one. um, so basically the plot of this one is that Emma is this like quite spoilt protagonist, and she's quite unlikable, and she's quite manipulative, and she's a bit of a matchmaker. She always just like butts her head in other people's business, and she befriends this young like naive girl, and then kind of trains her to be more like her. But then, if I remember correctly, because I didn't finish reading the book, the kind of girl that she befriended kind of turns against her. I know that Clueless is also meant to be a modernization of Emma, which I actually haven't watched all the way through, but yeah, if that helps anybody who's seen Clueless, that might help them in their minds. I don't know. And then going back to Predator, so basically what this is about is it's basically a group of, I think they're Marines or some sort of military men. Military covert specialists, yes. They're in this jungle. I think actually now reading, I didn't know that they've been called there specifically to deal with this. I didn't know that. I thought that they would just had like crash landed or something. Basically, apparently loads of bodies have been found, and there's this alien called the Predator that has crash landed in this jungle and is basically going to start slowly picking them off until I assume Arnold Schwarzenegger kills it because he's the only one left on the body from the poster. I don't know. So guess we'll find out. Find out tomorrow when my DVD player comes. Uh, so that's everything. That's everything from me. Um, I feel very tired now because I've been talking for 25 minutes. So I'm gonna go have a drink of water. I hope you enjoyed this video. And this is, by the way, this is probably the worst time to put this in. Did I say it in the beginning? I've literally forgotten. I'll cut this out if I did. But I've decided what my channel is going to be called. I have decided it will be Only One Read. I don't know if it will be when this will be uploaded. It's currently the 10th of November for reference. But it's going to be Only One Read. That's how I'm pronouncing it. And it's meant to be a play on the words of Only One Bed, which is a popular fanfic trope. Just because I wanted something that was kind of a play on words and a reference to reading and a reference to something popular to do with reading. I know that Only One Bed is more popular with fan fiction rather than original books, but it was the best I could think of. So yeah, see you later. See you next time on Only One Read.